Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, 18-hour special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of the micro, small and medium enterprise sector. Here's what we have lined up on the show today. An interview with Ashish Hemrajani. He's the founder CEO of BookMyShow, an interview done by Startup Central earlier. And on Bright Sparks tonight, we're featuring Mod Space and Flintobox. So that's what we have in store for you tonight. Let's get started right away with the BookMyShow interview. My colleague Chandra Shrikant spoke to Ashish Hemrajani, founder CEO of BookMyShow on Startup Central. Here's a slice of that interview where he's talking about fundraising, investments in analytics, as well as international expansion. Take a listen.
It wasn't difficult, and for a couple of reasons. Number one is that we had money in the bank from the last round of funding, so there was no urgency where we needed to fund this. We needed this money to fund our operational burn. We've always been a very capital efficient company, and in the last fiscal we were even EBITDA and PAT positive. So we had the luxury of time. That's one. Secondly, that also sort of puts you in a unique position to choose your partner, as I call them, and not investors, because they also bring value to the table. And I think Stripes, in that sense, along with my current investors, bring in a lot of value to the table, to the board. And I think that was a decision that we had taken. So this deal was in the pipeline for a while, and we had the luxury to take our time to do that. You know, raising capital to me actually is the easier part of the job, but to be able to now efficiently deploy it, be capital efficient, and then to scale the company to newer pastures, I think is the tougher ask. So for me, it's a lot more added responsibility. So while sure there is a, it's a great metric to know where you stand, but I don't, think beyond that. When you're a category or a market leader, it's your obligation to grow that category. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. If you look at payments as a problem, or you look at connectivity as a problem, you look at people's propensity to pay or pay online, those are real challenges which are ecosystem issues. And I think as a market leader, you've got to constantly focus on growing the market itself. So we launched a closed loop wallet, which saw about now 20% of our transactions come through that. We're looking at offline to online payments. We're looking at reserve now, pay later. There's a lot of work that we're doing on the payments. Then we're looking at people, the people that don't have the propensity to pay or have trust as an issue. What do you sort of put as metrics to improve those areas? The other is, how do you increase engagement? And I think in our core customers, there's a lot of work around creating a 360 destination for entertainment, and BookMyShow now is poised to actually do that. And finally, videos. I think we started with trailering, and now we're doing a lot of news and features around entertainment, and we've launched about 2 or 3 channels on BookMyShow. We put up about 500 pieces of content which we created last month, and we're just iterating and evolving that content and seeing what users like, because at the end of the day it has to start and begin and end with users and what they like. And then of course at the fourth peg is really our international expansion, and we've looked at Indonesia as a market. We were looking at it and researching and did a lot of homework over the past 1 year, and we launched Indonesia a couple of months ago, and we've seen some traction building there the last 30 to 45 days. Sri Lanka is another market that we've been working on for a while, and we've just taken, we're taking the Sri Lanka versus Australia series live in Sri Lanka. So both these markets will be movies as well as non-movie content, and we're just focusing on that.
She also spoke to him about competition and handling fund infusion. Listen into that.
I'll answer it in 2 parts. One is competition is inevitable. I mean, in any business, there is no business which is bereft of competition, and I think it's healthy because it pushes you and let the consumer actually at the end of the day decide on user experience and user interactability, customer service, and how focused you are and what you do and what else can you do for that user. And you have to come from a position where you look inward, not outward, and you have to look at how can you service. You have to come from a mindset of serviceability and service. in anything that you do. And so I welcome competition in the sense as long as it's healthy and it is fair. As far as marketplaces are concerned, I think we have relationships with a few of marketplaces. We are partnering with a few of them, and I think marketplaces are it's a how should I put it? It's in their life cycle of their business. It's a inevitable growth in the way they're going. So e-commerce was one thing that they started with. We've seen how the ecosystem in e-commerce is challenging, and therefore a lot of the marketplaces now want to get into services which as long as they're sitting on sticky customers and they can offer them something, it's healthy, as long as we continue to grow the market. Because in India, even if you look at how broken it is, you've got 1.2 billion people, you've got 800 million handsets, 300 million smartphones, 150 to 170 million data connections. You've got 400 million bank accounts, 22 million credit cards. So there's a lot of headroom, and I think as long as collectively we can grow the entire base of consumers and users who need to engage on digital goods and services, I think we are doing a fine job there. Let's look at three markets. One is India, let's look at the US, and let's look at China. If you look at the US, most people didn't invest in technology, in quality of service at cinemas, and if you look at the US, there's no allocated seating. The concessions and type of cinemas that are there are not of the highest quality, and therefore the people below the age of 16 or 18 are the ones that go for the movies, and then there are users who are above the age of 55 that go for the movies, and the ones in between are probably watching in-home entertainment. The other thing also to recognize and realize is that in markets like the US, 44 to 45% or a derivative of that in entertainment is sport. In India, 75% or a derivative of that is movies, whether it's to do on television or whether it's the content on television or whether it's in film, in theater, content. And I think that there's a stark difference there. The third hypothesis is that in India, it's a hot country 10 months of the year, and it's the cheapest form of indoor social entertainment that people can go to, which is in an air-conditioned environment or a controlled climate environment. We've seen that with our business in New Zealand, that when the temperatures go above 30 degrees, we lose traffic to golfing, running, swimming, sailing, or any other activity, or a barbecue which is outside. Most Indians are indoorsy because of culturally the weather being the way it is, and therefore even in the southern markets you'll see that movie going is a really large part of the socio cultural their choices for going out. And I think those are the stark sort of differences. And then if you look at China, where they've had digital connectivity and in-home entertainment, movie ticketing still continues to be quite vibrant, and the three big economies where you'll see growth rates in theater viewing is in China, in India, and in Russia. So I think it's to do a little bit with the weather, harsh climates. It's also to do with the way we are wired, where socially we find movies as a very acceptable experience of our free time. And the third is languages. Look at the number of movies that are made in India. So it caters to various demographics and locations. So Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam are as big, if not bigger than the Hindi film industry. And then obviously now you've got this Hollywood content. The biggest sort of movie before Sultan this year has been Jungle Book. So I think you've got to filter it or look at it from in that light, where you can't do a cookie cutter model in each market. We are wired slightly differently than the way it is in the West. But sure, I think with brands which offer in-home or on-device entertainment, there is a market for that as well. So I think they will coexist. It's not going to eat one against the other, at least not for the foreseeable future.
All right, let's take a very quick break on that note. But on the other side, we'll feature two more companies, ModSpace and Flintobox, and bring you up close and personal with the managements. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight we're featuring ModSpace and Flintobox. India's furniture market is yet to embrace technology in what is still considered a traditional sector. Now, making this conventional space smarter with its technology-driven services and affordable products is Gurugram-based ModSpace.in. This online furniture brand gives consumers the freedom to design, select and buy factory finish quality kitchens, wardrobes and home goods from the comfort of their homes. Libza Manan has the story.
Launched a year ago, ModSpace.in revamps traditional kitchens and living spaces, delivering internationally designed custom-made modular kitchens, wardrobes and other home goods to suit the lifestyle of urban Indians. Offering pocket-friendly prices, the brand has installed over 100 projects in Delhi NCR since inception.
ModSpace.in has been started by a bunch of young entrepreneurs helping buyers build their dream homes. So Abhijit, tell us what's your forte in building this online furniture brand?
ModSpace.in was started because there was a huge void in the market, because the traditional businesses are not able to cater to the needs and the desires of the customer. We, having a manufacturing background, source materials from across the world and bring about very premium raw materials and premium finishes that people can have in their homes without burning a hole in their pocket.
According to you, why should consumers switch to online platform like yours? What does ModSpace.in has in store for them?
We are trying to educate the customer and trying to explain to them how simple it is to actually buy a kitchen. How you can choose the material, how you can choose the finish, how you can choose the accessories, and help them design a kitchen that suits their storage needs. We are very transparent in our entire process so that the customer knows exactly what they would be getting at the very end.
The brand specializes in designer kitchens and wardrobes. So tell us what sort of research and innovation goes behind the designing of your products?
A kitchen is not just any area in your room. A typical housewife spends anywhere about 12 hours in a kitchen on a daily basis. So when we design a kitchen, we keep in mind a housewife who's buying the kitchen today but would be using it even 15 years from today. At that time, her physical abilities would be very different from what they are today. So when we design a kitchen, we think, how could a person using that kitchen do all the tasks in the kitchen with minimal movement?
Like you just rightly said that a homemaker does spend most of her time in the kitchen space. So how is ModSpace.in delighting consumers with their designer kitchens and taking the cooking experience to a whole new level?
People have been so used to the way things are that they don't realize that there is so much more that can be done. So if it is suppose the simplest activity like cooking, we would design it in a way that the consumables and the utensils and the cutlery that a person would need while cooking are very easily accessible near the hob area, near the cooking area.
The brand boasts of integrating technology in the furniture space as its core USP. From acquiring consumers to online display of collections to designing to 3D view of the space, the company makes efficient use of technology to simplify the buying process for homemakers.
The brand has its own state-of-the-art manufacturing facility. How are you leveraging latest technology in production processes to give consumers superior quality products?
We have incorporated the latest CNC machines that to minimize human error. Our cutting and the edge banding of panels that we do is completely automated.
How has been the traction of consumers on ModSpace.in so far, and what sort of marketing strategies are you using to increase this traction?
We're online on Facebook, on Google, on different social media platforms to reach the end consumer. We also participate in exhibitions and other events.
Customer satisfaction has clearly been the most important aspect of traditional furniture space. At modspace.in, what steps are you taking to carry forward this trend?
For customer service, we have regular feedback calls because once a kitchen has been installed and is being used, we talk to our customers every 3 months and 6 months to ask if they're having any problems in their kitchen, if there is any kind of servicing that they would need. Because any item, any mechanical item with use obviously goes through some wear and tear. So we proactively talk to each and every customer of ours to understand if they are having any problems. This helps us serve them better, as well as it helps us improve our designs better.
Eyeing robust growth in the future, ModSpace soon plans to take the brand to other Indian metros and add more products under its umbrella. An ambitious target this innovative startup is likely to achieve with its well-planned strategies.
Are you a parent and face difficulties keeping your kid away from your iPad, your iPhone or your computer? Or are you tired of looking for toys which manage to keep your kids both busy as well as educating them? If you've answered yes to both those questions, Flinto Box then is what you need. Here's the story of the company which makes fun, educational activity boxes and delivers them right at your doorstep. Vidya Bharti has the story.
A child's brain is 90% developed by the time they turn 5 years old. But nutritional drinks alone will not help you achieve that. It is the early experiences which shape how their brain develops in their formative years. And a child's experiences come from play. A Chennai-based e-commerce company, Flinto Box, founded by 3 first-time fathers, has come up with a wonderful solution to give them the best of learning experiences by engaging them in a meaningful way. What are the activities which I can find in a Flinto Box?
So when we designed the Flinto Box, we tried to make it as holistic as possible in terms of the learning experiences for the children. And also try to give them a variety of experience in the same month around a common theme. Okay, so let me give you an example. This month we are shipping something called Little Scientist. This is meant for 4 to 7-year-old kids actually. So here, there's something like a balloon car that they create. So they create this balloon car which actually runs on the force of the wind only. Although it might look like a toy, but what really goes behind us, there is a sense of gross motor skill which is actually engaging the children in building this car and the creativity around creating the car itself actually. There's something called iStyle Mania. This will have a magnetic board which will have so iron strips here and everything. So children could actually create the faces and beards and kind of change it as much as they want. The fundamental of this activity is the attraction on magnetism, which we teach them in a very simple gamified way for them.
Tell us what sparked the start of Flinto Box.
So in first place, all 3 of us are parents as well. We had sons who were just growing up in their very formative years. They spend a bulk of their time at home, and if you actually look at it, there isn't much they could be doing because a lot of what's available to engage them today are either academic stuff or completely recreational stuff. And between that, they're losing out on a lot of developmental needs that they have during the formative years. And this gap that we found was actually the reason why we started Flinto Box, to be able to provide that meaningful formative years where they can have positive early experiences.
These subscription-based boxes are available in 4 categories of age groups: 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 8 and 8 to 10. A fresh new theme is decided every month and the box is loaded with 5 to 7 creative activities. These boxes not only help your kids grow, but they're also very easy on your pockets. You can book your 3-month subscription on their website, which would cost you Rs 2,085, whereas a 6-month subscription would cost you only 3,750. How does the Flinto Box help in early child development?
So if you look at the initial years of a child's development, right, what they need is an exposure to as many things as possible, okay? And so the number of sensory experiences they have, visual, auditory, touch and feel, sight, the number of sensory experience, the variety of sensory experiences you can provide, the variety of exposure you have to different concepts is what actually builds their later years actually. It forms the foundation of the later years. I mean, let's say a child actually uses Flinto Box for a period of, let's say, a year, they are typically exposed to about 30 to 50 different experiences, new experiences for them, okay, and that is actually directly related to their brain development.
What according to you has helped Flinto Box create a brand recall?
It's the children. More than 30% of the orders that we get is driven by word of mouth, right? So there's a clear engagement with the kids. There's a clear I would say satisfaction from parents. They love it, and I think that's the major part of the brand recall that we do. And the second thing is we don't intend to, or rather, even today we don't just build a product. Okay, there's a lot of things that we build around the product. To give you an example, there's a character called Flinto inside the box. Okay, now the character, when we talk to the children, we talk through Flinto. We don't talk to them directly. We don't talk to them about driving a car, or we don't talk to them about electricity. It's Flinto who talks to them. Okay, so there's a little more affinity towards the product itself from the children's standpoint. I think a lot of these factors are what contributes to building a brand together rather than building a box month on month.
With extensive research, experienced child psychologists, game designers, and pedagogy experts on board, the box is filled with play-based activities to suit your kids' learning needs. These are designed in such a way that learning turns into fun in no time. And the kids, they agree too.
I love Flinto Box because it's fun. I love Flinto Box. It's so much fun. Thank you. Bye-bye.
That's all we managed to pack in on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. Do remember, you can write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can reach us on social media by using the hashtag LOT or call us on that number on your screens. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.